you're not being a leader if you're just sitting back going, they're paid a lot of money to do it. If they're not doing it, that's on them.
Right.
There is a responsibility to leadership, and often leadership is doing things you shouldn't have to do. Hey everybody, welcome to the Leader Lab. This is Leadership Shorts. Quick thoughts to help you level up your leadership. My name is Chad Wright. I'm the founder of Forward Partners, and I'm joined as always by my partner in podcasting, Emily Grace Deal. Emily Grace Deal, what are we talking about today?
Well, we have a problem to talk about.
I love problems.
So it says, my leader is not doing basic things to help the team. They have to know how to do these things or they wouldn't be in this position. It shouldn't fall on me to have to remind them to do their duty.
That's interesting because we encounter this sometimes, right? Where leader at a higher level is just not doing what they need to. They're either doing or not doing something that's causing damage.
Right.
And they're not often, I think the key is understanding they're not often aware of it. Like they're not, I don't think they wake up most days unless they're really unhealthy, roll out of bed, do an evil laugh, and are like, I cannot wait to go screw up my team today. This would be great.
Yeah.
I don't think a lot of people do that.
Yes.
But they very unintentionally do damage. And the leading up, we talk about leading up a lot. Leading up is really scary.
Yeah.
It's not, I don't know that it's fun to ever talk to the person above you who has more power over you and say, hey, by the way, boss, you're not doing something great.
Yeah.
That's a scary conversation.
It's super rough. I mean, even in an environment where you kind of set that standard where it's okay, it's still not the easiest thing because we have a history of, oh my gosh, if I do this, I could lose my job, like, or I could get in trouble. I know it's not going to happen. And I still have to be like, all right, you're good. Go talk to Chad. Like,
that's like a weekly thing at this point, right? There really is that, like, even when you set up the environment, because a lot of what we want to do, we talk about the idea of giving people permission to challenge you and giving them the framework for how to do that. How do you challenge me in a healthy way, right? But often that's not enough because they're still, often we're afraid to do it. But one of the things this person says specifically, it shouldn't fall on me to have to remind them. And that's the hard part too, is because that's an internal fight of, this is not my job. My job is not to babysit the person above me, but it kind of is.
Right.
Like if you're a leader and you're leading at a lower level, you're still responsible
if
for
you're
the people
navigating to get the tasks done and to complete the job, then there is a part of that where if you're seeing something that's not getting done, you have to do something about it.
Yeah, you do. You're not being a leader if you're just sitting back going, they're paid a lot of money to do it. If they're not doing it, that's on them. Right. There is a responsibility to leadership, and often leadership is doing things you shouldn't have to do. We think about that often in terms of leading down, right? Well, they're not doing this. So I got to step in and I got to have a conversation that I've already had 1,000 times. Yeah, you got to have it 1,001. You're having to do things you shouldn't have to.
Well, and maybe that discussion, maybe you have to really think about how you're having it. Like maybe the way you're saying it,
that's fair too.
You're checking that box of communication and you're not actually like having a real conversation.
That is very fair too. So there's often those things like that we just have to do that we shouldn't have to, but we do it. That's what leadership is. It is doing those hard things. Leading up is no different. Yeah. It is things we shouldn't have to do.
Right.
And I think there's one question to kind of guide us in this conversation. Like, if you're wrestling with that, if you're wrestling with, I shouldn't have to do this, the question I always ask somebody in this situation is my team and organization better off if I ask my leader to go engage, if I go lead up, if I go have the hard conversation? And the reality is the answer is always yes. If your leader is not doing something that is needed, your team is better off if someone talks to them and says, hey, why are we not doing this? It kind of shows you the responsibility side of things. Now, if you look at that question, you can answer, no, that's fine. I don't know that anybody honestly could, right? Every team is better when every leader is engaged and doing the things that they need to be doing. It's very, very simple. It really is.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. So I think that's the thing to really think through is if you're in that situation, ask that question. So leaders, let's talk next steps. If you're in that situation, if the leader above you is not doing their job, is it on you to actually lead up? The answer is yes. Now you got to have capacity to do it. You got to have the ability to have that conversation. And as tough as it is, that's part of the responsibility of leadership. And so ask yourself the question, is your team and organization better if you have that hard conversation? If people want to find us online where we're putting out content all the time about leadership, things just like this, where do they find that?
At Forward Partner.
At Forward Partner. We're on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram. If they want to send us questions, problems, things they're wrestling with that we can kind of talk through, where do they send that?
lab@forwardpartners.net.
lab@forwardpartners.net. Emily, thank you for the conversation. Thanks for bringing this to us. John, Porchlight Productions Vineyard, thank you for producing. And thank you for watching. Thank you for, really importantly, sharing this with fellow leaders. If you know a leader that's struggling with this, please send them a link to this. That's why we create this. And we will see you next time right here in the Leader Lab for Leadership Shorts.